What is good, Tesla family? It's Ray J back with another video, and this one I'm going to break down what's going on with Tesla, SPY, Nvda, the QQQ, and a couple of other tickers. I'm going to break down why tomorrow is going to be a very important day for the markets as we have some big data coming out. We have the PCE data report coming out. There's also some news that came out involving Cathie Wood, which I'm going to talk about, and Tesla, and what this means for Tesla going into tomorrow as I see a big test coming for the share price. But before I break anything down, all this information, before I get into any more details, let me just mention a couple of things. Firstly, I am not a financial planner, so take nothing I say as financial advice. And also, if you guys can, please smash the like button if you want to see more videos like this. It not only benefits me, it benefits the entire Tesla community as a whole. Anyways, let's break down what's going on with the chart. Looking at Tesla, we have this potential flag that's forming, but the question is, can Tesla get back above this yellow resistance, this is now resistance, this used to be previous support, or is Tesla going to reject hard? And this is going to depend on the news for tomorrow and also how we end up reacting to PCE data. So why is tomorrow a big day for the market? There are two main catalysts coming out. The first one is going to be 1 hour before the market opens. We have the PCE data report. What is PCE? It's another measure of inflation. This is very similar to CPI, and the Fed tends to prioritize PCE when making their decisions for monetary policy. So the Fed seems to be deciding about whether or not they're going to be keeping rates high for longer, or if they're going to just get their first cut by March. It's going to depend on PCE data and also CPI. The Fed could end up cutting sooner than expected if they keep getting some very low reports. But if they keep remaining elevated, especially on the core side, core has been very sticky as of recent. The Fed could be inclined to just keep rates higher for longer. So you just want to be very, very careful. Now, historically, PCE tends to be highly correlated with that of CPI. And look at the correlation, you could see that for the last CPI reports right here, for November, you guys can see right here, November saw a slight decrease in CPI, but core CPI was very close to what we saw from before. It didn't really change much. So this is something we have to be very careful about for tomorrow. So tomorrow, okay, we want PCE to be around 2.8 to 2.9%. There's a very good chance it's going to be around that range. Most likely, yes, based off CPI, but I don't know exactly about core. Core you want this to be around 3.3 to 3.4%. The last time CPI came out, it didn't really change. Okay, CPI was the same for core CPI. I mean, for October compared to November, it was basically the same. So I'm a little concerned about core PCE. Is it going to be 3.5%, a little higher than expected, or is it going to be a little bit lower? I don't truly know, and that's why I just want to be very careful with what I say about how this will affect the markets. So there's a good chance the market could try to gap up tomorrow and try to push up because the data should be decent. CPI was decent, so there's a good chance that PCE will help us. But I think that Tesla has a big test coming. We basically have this channel on Tesla. If you guys look carefully, we have this very, very nice looking channel. This is forming a potential flag. Tesla could try to push higher, but now we're going to be testing this yellow trend line. You guys see the yellow line? This was historical support for Tesla. It's going to be tight resistance. Tomorrow, we're going to likely see Tesla try to pump a little bit when we open, maybe very close to like 256 or so. And we're going to be watching, does Tesla break to the upside, get back up to 258 and start holding this support to break out like this? Or does Tesla do the opposite? Do we attempt to break out? Because I think there's a very good chance we're going to attempt to push higher. Uh, or does Tesla push up towards the yellow trend line and then reject, and we get this flag to play out where we get this big rejection back down like this? So this is going to be very difficult to predict. This depends on PCE data. So don't forget, 1 hour before market open, we have PCE, and then at 30 minutes after market open at 10 o'clock a.m., we have the Michigan Consumer Sentiment Reports, inflationary expectations, and stuff like that. So that's when we have more data. We'll see if this leads to a rejection or not. Tesla is going to likely test this resistance. My gut tells me, and this is what I think is very probable, I can't truly predict this with 100% certainty, but I think the market might push a little higher. I think Tesla's going to attempt to push higher. Then we're going to get another rejection. But then at the end of the day, the market might try to rebound and try to hold up because of how many puts there are expiring for tomorrow. And we might get a decent close, despite the fact that typically, before these long weekends, we tend to get these big sell-offs, but we might not get that for tomorrow. We might just see a little pop and then a dump, followed by one more pump to end the day in a decent manner. So for SPY, when you look at the options chain, Max Payne's at 471. We have a 2.3 puts to call ratio, 1.2 million puts expiring, and about just over 500,000 calls expiring. So we have a lot of puts expiring for the last few weeks, last month and a half, if anything. When we have all these puts expiring every Friday, the market just keeps pumping. So are we about to get another short squeeze, or are we about to see the market get a rug pull? I do believe we could get an intraday sell off, but I don't know if we're going to get a pump after at the very end of the day. This is going to depend on the options chain too. Right now, and even though this could change, right now the options chain suggests that we're not going to get a massive dump for close spot. That's what it suggests, just like right now. This could change, but that's what I'm seeing at this. The reason for that is because when you look at the calls, we're seeing high open interest for many of these strikes, especially 475 and also 476, big open interest changes with high volume. So it looks like a lot of people are thinking that the market's going to pump more. But then on the put side, these institutions are looking at this, they're closing their short positions. They're closing short positions for tomorrow, and they're starting to open puts that are at much higher levels, very close to 475. So that suggests to me that SPY will most likely, and I can't promise this, but I think based off the options chain, it suggests that we might close above max pain. We might pump, then drop back down, then try to pump a little bit and close close to max pain, if not above it. We're not going to get a massive sell off, most likely. If we get bad news, it could happen, but I'm not really seeing that for now. The fear and greed index is very close to extreme greed. We're not quite there yet. We'll be watching to see if there's any change. And then I'm going to just talk about some news about Tesla. The car design dubs Tesla Cybertrucks as the Picasso of automobiles. You could argue that this tends to be very, very contentious, though, at least in the eyes of a lot of people. This also tends to be subjective. I mean, different people have different views of the Cybertruck. Some people either love it, other people tend to just dislike it. If anything, I do want to give it some recognition for its design. I think it looks really cool. I would love to see if new colors could come out in the future, especially like a black. That would look really sick, if anything. On top of this, we had some big news. Kathy Wood has bought Tesla stock for the first time in 8 months, at least according to reports. Basically, she purchased for the first time since April over 100,000 shares today. That's once again some very, very big news, despite the regulators coming out about Tesla having, all these issues and this and that. They bought 111,387 Tesla shares today. Big news for Tesla. Wood spent about 27.53 million. Sorry, it wasn't today. It was on Wednesday, which was yesterday. Sorry about that, guys. That's still a very, very big purchase, and that's some decent news for Tesla. Kathy Wood could be anticipating some big moves for the future. Also, could be repositioning. The inventory levels are dropping as we're seeing demand increasing for the end of the year. Volume was about 109 million, a little bit below average, but not too bad as long as it's over 100 million. It's okay. And then RBC Capital has come out and they're saying that Tesla's going to outperform the market. Price ratio is kind of flat, trying to hold up as Tesla's doing well. And look for volatility at noon and at 2 p.m. and things like that. So, anyways, let's talk about the charts now. Let's talk about what under all this news is basically suggesting. I just want to mention that right now for Tesla, I think we're going to likely get a push up when we open. I think it's most likely going to be the case. And we just have to watch and see what this test causes. Can we break this resistance or not? My gut does tell me that we might see some kind of like sell off as well, like intraday, but then we might. And the reason why we might sell off is because of a lot of profit taking. But at the very end of the day, they might try to pump it again just to get us to close decently right before the Christmas holiday, and also because of max pain. So I wouldn't be surprised if Tesla did this. Watch resistance at this 256 area where the yellow trend line happens to be, and watch and see if we can break it. If we do break it, then 258 is coming next to 260. If we fail to break it, then we're going to reject. If we reject, watch 254 is support, 252, then 250. I think Tesla's going to pump in the morning after PCE comes out, and then we'll just have to see if it rejects immediately or not. For SPY, I think something very similar will happen. My best prediction will be we might see another pump. I think we have this imbalance that's trying to get triggered. We might try to pump a little higher as we're seeing lots of institutions closing their shorts and going long. Many of them are anticipating a move to the upside based off the options chain. Then you can't forget about the Friday squeezes we tend to see with millions of puts expiring. So we could see a little push up one more time towards this imbalance. Then a rejection back down. I wouldn't be surprised if we pump and dump. Then we push up at the very end of the day and close just above max pain in a very decent way. My guts tells me that's very probable. A pump and dump and then a decent close, a push up at the very end. With the QQQ, it might pump towards this imbalance at 409.5, then reject back down, come back down, then bounce, and then close very, very flat. So a pretty crazy day is what I'm expecting. And I think this based off what we saw from today and based off the options chain. For Nvda, I think Nvidia might push up thanks to PCE data, but There's no guarantee it's going to hold up. It might try to make its way a little bit higher towards these imbalances. I could see it testing this resistance at 490. Maybe it pushes a little bit higher towards 495 and then rejects back down. I wouldn't be surprised if we get a pump and dump on Nvidia and we end up closing very flat. I find that to be very probable, at least for tomorrow. On Apple stock, something very similar could play out. Apple dropped quite a bit, but we have this imbalance to fill. So I wouldn't be surprised if they try to push it just a little bit after PCE, try to get up to 195. Then it rejects back down, sinks back down, and we just close kind of flat. Wouldn't be surprised if Apple did that, and I think the market might close very similar to that. For the IWM, we also have an imbalance to fill on the 4-hour time frame because when you look at the chart, we have this very, very big looking rejection. We might retest the rejection area, then come back down around 202, and then close very flat from where we are. Microsoft may push up for 375, then reject and close very flat as well because we have this like top right over here at this resistance. 375 to 376, then a rejection, and then some sideways price action is what I'm anticipating for tomorrow. I think AMD, it might try to hold this 140 resistance, if not 142, then reject. But it is looking a little bullish on the 4-hour time frame, so it might try to make a comeback. So I could see a little pump and dump on it. I think it might close a little green. The VIX is still indecisive. It looked like it was going to break out yesterday. Now it's back down. We'll be watching to see how PCE affects this as we're approaching the 50 EMA. Do we continue to break down, or are we about to bounce and then push up higher? We'll just have to wait and see. The dollar index, this is coming down. We're at support right now at this 101.77 area, exactly at support. Will we form a double bottom and bounce on the dollar as the market sinks, or is the dollar about to do the opposite? We'll just have to watch support. Coinbase has come up again, forming a nice top, but it's forming a bearish divergence now. Going to be watching to see if we could hold this level. We might pop thanks to PC, then come back down. Wouldn't be surprised if we kind of trade sideways up here. It might just get a very flat day tomorrow. Same thing with Google. Google could retest 143, this top right here, 143, then come back down and trade very flat. Amazon, it could push up just a little bit more towards 155, then reject and trade kind of flat. And then Meta could do the same thing on the 4-hour time frame. We could see this thing hit 356 and then come back. It could even push higher since it's still looking bullish. It could hit 356, come back a little bit, maybe push a little higher and outperform the market for 360. So that's what I find very probable. The market is crazy, guys. If you just look at the daily candlesticks, let me show you something crazy about this market. When you look at the daily candlesticks, you will see that there's just so much manipulation. Okay, they're trying to trick you as hard as possible. There was one day we had a bullish looking daily close. The next day it was a bearish close. It looked like it was going to sink lower. Next day it turned back to bullish. Now it looks like it pumped more. The market is just going berserk. One day it's running hard. Next day there's a crazy sell off. Next day it just pumps back up. It's crazy. It's a very, very crazy market. I like to just trade intraday. That's what I've been doing, and that's been working very well for me. So just be very careful. PCE will most likely, according to what we saw previously, it might actually help the market push up when we open. Then the market might sell off intraday. We might see a lot of sellers stepping in. And then I think that we might see a pump at the end of the day, and SPY might close very close to max pain because it has all these shorts expiring, and the market makers might not want to give us a massive sell off. There's a good chance that that might not happen. It will depend on the news too. So just to be safe, make sure you watch your levels. Let's hope we can hold up. But in case anything changes, just like how it happened on Wednesday, right? Unexpected things could happen. I will try to keep you guys updated. Sometimes the market is just absolutely berserk. So just get ready for some high volatility and a pretty wild day for tomorrow. All right, guys, thank you for listening. Tesla to the moon because the long term is still incredibly bright. And I'll see you guys very soon tomorrow morning for the PCE reports. Thank you and peace out.